Hey folks, it's instrument time. Today we're going to discuss my actual favorite guitar, the Larrivee OM-03R. So, we've talked about Larrivees before on this channel. Larrivee is a North American manufacturer of guitars. Currently they only manufacture in the US. Previously they manufactured in the US and Canada, and originally they started out in Canada as a one-man shop with Gene Larrivee doing everything. He has since moved to Oxnard, California. Again, the joke goes that he moved to California because he got tired of measuring rainfall in feet rather than inches. So, that being said, this is my Larrivee OM-03R. The OM for Orchestra model, so same as a Martin Orchestra model, more or less, 15-inch lower bout, same body shape. The 03 was a discount, if you will, line that they started in 1996. There was a bit of an economic downturn in 96, 97. You know, .com go boom, all of that stuff. And so, with all that going on, Larrivee decided, hey, maybe we can try to get some market share by going with a slightly less expensive version of their, finely crafted guitars. So they did not scrimp on the materials or the workmanship, just some of the more expensive details. So this one was made in 1997. It has a satin finish. As you can see from the studio lights, you're not getting a sharp reflection, you're getting a somewhat diffuse reflection. Same with the top. Matthew Larrivee told me once, or told the forum rather, that doing a gloss finish cost roughly $200 in American labor to do, US or Canada, and therefore going with a satin finish saves a tremendous amount of money on the consumer side. Simply because it's so much less labor intensive to do a satin finish. Larrivee was one of the very first, I believe the first, to use a UV cured poly finish. So it has a thin polymer finish, UV cured, which Taylor now uses as well. Bob Taylor and Gene Larrivee are and have been good friends for decades. So what's different about this one? It's a little different than the modern ones. They made changes over the years. It is, after all, a 24-year-old guitar, something like that. So when these first came out, they were available in OMs, dreadnoughts, and their proprietary L or Larrivee sized body, which, despite being their proprietary size, is not actually that popular. You don't see very many. I'm not sure I've ever even actually played one. But all of them had a dreadnought neck on them, which meant a 25.4 inch scale length, 14 frets clear of the body, and 1 and 11/16 inch nut. The somewhat more expensive OM5 and OM9 models had a 1 3/4 inch nut. I actually spent several hours playing this guitar and two others at Music Around in Phoenix back when they were still in existence. I understand they still exist other places, just not in Arizona. And they did the smartest thing a guitar shop could ever do, which was they left me alone and didn't talk to me, because I don't like talking to people, and left me alone with the guitars. So several hours later I decided that I like the Rosewood better than mahogany, and I could not tell any difference between the OM-03 and the OM-09, and I saw no reason to spend a couple $100 extra to get the shiny finish and the 1/16 inch wider neck. So this one followed me home, and I believe either the next day or possibly the day after, the mahogany version followed my wife home. So she has an almost identical guitar within a few hundred serial number range, except hers is mahogany and this one is rosewood. So East Indian rosewood, thus the OM-03R for rosewood. They also had a OM-03K for koa, back when koa was more affordable than it is now. At one point you could buy a koa version for the exact same price as the East Indian rosewood version, believe it or not. Those days are long gone. You could get a M, which stood for maple. I've seen some gorgeous maple bodied ones, and walnut ones, which frankly are really nice, especially when they use black walnut. I played a black walnut and cedar one that was just, oh, I want you to follow me home, but it was expensive at the time, and I was poor at the time, so it did not. So OM size, the 03 is the trim level, so satin top, back and sides. These did have binding on the neck, which is nice. At the time they used these micro dots on the fretboard, which I think are far classier looking than the giant dots that other manufacturers use, and Larrivee has since changed to larger dots. I don't like larger dots. I can't see the dots when I hold the guitar, so there's no reason for them to be there. There's dots on the side. If I need to know where I am on the fretboard, there's side dots. So I don't get it. This one came with a pickup. Fishman. I like it. It works great. This for years was my main guitar. I've mostly changed to the Rain Song because it's the same size and I don't have to worry about humidity. But if you look at them side by side, you can see they're the same size. I mean, right? Excuse me while I get the strap caught on my chair. This one is currently tuned to Dad, so I've only written a couple of things in Dad. It's a gorgeous sound. I wasn't going to retune this just for the sake of a video. These are available left-handed. Gene is left-handed, and they've always had zero additional upcharge for left-handed instruments. They are available with a cutaway. That would be an OMV for Venetian cutaway. I don't use a cutaway. I see no reason to spend money on a cutaway that I'm not going to use unless it's just kind of included by design, like on the Rain Song. Newer ones have a 1 3/4 inch neck, which is considered de rigueur for an OM. Like I said, this one is 1 11/16. These sold so well they decided to make it a standard model, which is nice. At one point these were possibly the best value in an all solid wood instrument that you could buy in North America. These are very popular back on the Rec Music Makers RMMGA guitar acoustic back during the Usenet days. Matthew Larrivee himself actually would show up on the forum to talk to us. Gene has never really been into the social media or any of those electronic communications, but his two sons, John Jr. and Matt, have been. Gene spends a lot of time these days getting wood. He travels the world searching for the best tone woods, and Matt and John Jr. pretty much run the factory. I believe Wendy still does the really beautiful inlays. You can find, you know, higher trim with just gorgeous inlays that I've, again, never been able to afford. So I'm basic. I like basic. I like plain fretboards. I really like the fact that back in the late 90s, these came with a clear pickguard rather than the Martin style pickguard. You can see the wood. I'm not a big fan of big, bright pepperoni pickguards. Unfortunately, in my opinion, Matt, if you're, John Jr., if you're watching this, I like your old guitars better. So sorry. The new ones come with a Martin style pickguard. The new ones have more Martin style dots on the neck, which I don't like as well. I like the older ones better. In 2018 they changed to a more Martin style neck, which again most people won't even feel the difference. This one has a compound radius neck, so it starts at 16 and tapers to 20 or 21, which is a feature normally found basically on boutique guitars, which is actually a good segue. One thing with Larrivee is that many fine luthiers apprenticed with Gene in Vancouver or in the previous shop, which was in Victoria. So Linda Manser is probably the most famous, but many fine luthiers apprenticed with him. And even folks who didn't technically apprentice, who previously worked at the Larrivee factory, like Ed Bond, who owns Halcyon Guitars. Ed purchased a lot of the Canadian equipment when they shut that factory down, and he's a very nice fellow who was an employee at Larrivee who started his own guitar company. So many people who were previous employees are now self-employed making guitars on their own, which is honest, I think really cool. So this is probably still my favorite guitar. I haven't been playing that much because again humidity, and right now I've got tuned to DADGAD and I'm still learning DADGAD. It sounds really pretty, and when you make a mistake no one can tell, which is awesome. But I've only got a couple things in DADGAD. So anyway, I went on a lot longer about this one than others because I really like it. It's been one of my favorite guitars. It's the one I took to all the conventions. It's the one that we recorded most of the last album on. So Space and Freedom was most recorded with this guitar. The only exception were a couple which were done with a 12 string, which were recorded with a Guild D412 Dreadnought Guild, which I used to own, which I sold. Again, because I like this size guitar. To me, this is the best size guitar for me. Dreadnoughts are a little big. I'm not a big guy, so I like Orchestra models, triple O's, smaller guitars. For me, they're what I like. So once again, oh, one other thing on this one. So apparently in 1997 there was a shortage of Sitka, and so this one actually has an Engelmann spruce top. That's a nice little upgrade as well. Larrivee normally uses either Sitka or a lot of times lately they've been using European spruce, otherwise then it's Italian or German or Swiss or Moonwood, or it has a half dozen names, but it's all the same species. I'm not a big fan. It's very fundamental. It sounds a lot like Adirondack spruce, which again I'm not a fan of. I much prefer Sitka, and I really like Engelmann, and I like cedar and redwood and other slightly less stiff softwood tops. So, but we're not going to go into the theory of lutherie, not in this video. Other than that, thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions, please do leave them below. Maybe I'll get my wife's on another video and we'll kind of go back and forth between the rosewood and the mahogany versions. Until that time, or until next time, again, thanks for listening. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time on Instrument Time.